Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to say thank you for my advisor, Mem Indah Damayanti and Mem Zarida. Thank you also for my advisor, Mem Hardia and Mem Kasmaini. Thank you for joining for my seminar research result. And today I'd like to present and discuss only focusing on the chapter 4 and chapter 5. Chapter 4 that is result and discussion, and chapter 5 that is conclusion and suggestions. So we started from the chapter 4. In chapter 4, I discuss about result and discussion. So we started from result. Regarding to the way of collecting data and the methodology in my previous chapter, I already explained to you, ma'am, that I have some ways to finish my my result. So we going to my results. The first poem is Mito Asemailes Posains. So there are some kind of figurative language expression found in the sonnet. So for the first figurative language, there is alliterations. In line 3 of the first stanza, that is whom John, great son to her glad husband gave, and in line 6 of the second stanza, her face was valid, yet to my fancied sight. So I said that these lines are iteration because the lines itself use the repetition of the first consonant, or the sounds in word or lyric are the same consonant and or the same sounds. That is great and glad. For example, in line 3 of the first stanza, whom John's great son to her glad husband gave. That is great and glad, that is alliteration. They use the first same consonants or sounds, great and glad. Her face was valid yet to my fancied sight. That is also the first consonant and the same sounds, that is face and fancied sight. So the second figurative language is irony. The example in line 1 of the third stanza, but all as to embrace me and claim. This line is irony because the line uses word to convey the opposite of its literary meaning. The distribution meaning is contradicted by appearance or presented of the idea. The third figurative language in the poem is litotes. In line 2 of the third stanza, I walked, she fled, and they brought back my night. From the line of poem above, we conclude that is used language which are opposite what is expected or less than expected. The line has proposed to scorn themselves, it emphasizing the magnitude of statement by denying its opposite. He dreamed about his wife. He was really happy, met her, and his wife really loves him. It means that the author scorned himself. Then it also the opposite from the reality. So the next figurative language found in the sonnet is metonymy. In line 1 of the first stanza, that is methought I sight my late espoused saying, and in line 2 of the second stanza, purification in old law did say. The line mentioned above use metonymy because they use word which describe something indirectly. My late espoused saying, and also purification. Purification means refers to the old law vision in Bible by referring to things around it. That purification refers to the Bible, the vision of the Bible, and also espousing is also refers to the Bible. So the next figurative language is personification. In line 7 of the second stanza, love, sweetness, goodness, in her person, sweetness, signed. It means that in her person, love, sweetness, goodness, as if that her person can love, can sweetness and goodness. Or I mean, it is as if the love, sweetness, goodness in her person sin or bersinar. The next figurative language is born. In line 5 of the second stanza, came faced all in white, pure as her mind. Some of the lines above include in part. In the line, there are play of words which an expression intended for humorous or rhetorical effect by exploiting different meaning of words. that from the line itself is white and pure. You know that white and pure have the same meaning but the different words. And the last figurative language found in these poems, that is simile, in line 2 of the first stanza and in line 6 of the second stanza. Simile is the comparison of two things indicated by some connective, usually using like, as, then, sometimes to show how they are similar. So if we see the line that broke to me like Alcetus from the grave, there is a word of like. So that's why the lines itself is simile. In line 6 of the second stanza, mine, as whom wasn't from spot of child bedtime, as the example of the simile. So we're going to the next poem. The title is How Should Had Time. There are also some kind of figurative language found in the poems. The first is alliterations in line 4 of the first stanza and in line 1 of the third stanza. Alliterations, I said to you that the first same consonant. In line 4 of the first stanza, the lines itself, but my late spring no bud or blossom sweet. Bud and blossom. In line 1 of the third stanza, or soon or slow. The line itself, soon and slow, are alliterations. So the next figurative language is litotes. In line 1 of the second stanza, perhaps my semblance might defies the truth. In line 2 of the second stanza, that I to manhood am arrived so near. In line 3 of the second stanza, and in war repentance doth much less appear. And C, and the next figurative language is metaphor. Metaphor is direct comparison which does not require special keyword. Essentially, unlike things are shown to have a type of resemblance or create a new image. The example of metaphor in these poems are how soon had time, the subtle tip of youth. The tip of youth is metaphor. The next figurative language is personification. In line 3 of the first stanza, my hasting days flies on with full career, and in line 4 of the third stanza, toward which time leads me. Some of lines as an example of the personification in this poem are fly and leads. My hasting day fly on with full career. It's like that the day is as if flying like a bird, and time lets me, a time leads like human being. So we're going to the third poems, that is on his deceased wife. From the analysis, I also have some kind of figurative language expression found in the poems. The first is alliterations. In line 2 of the first stanza, era of my days in the dark worldwide. Days and dark. That is alliteration. In line 4 of the first stanza, lodge with me useless to my soul more bent. My and more is alliteration. In line 3 of the second stanza, dot God exact day labor like the night. Day labor, day and the night. In line 4 of the second stanza, I've only asked but patient to prevent. Patient and prevent is alliteration. In line 3 of the fourth stanza, they also serve who only stain and wait. Serve and stain is alliteration. So the next figurative language found is hyperbole. In line 1 of the fourth stanza and in line 2 of the fourth stanza. In line 1, that is 1,000 at his bidding speed. 1,000 and his bidding speed is the exaggeration of word or extravagant statement. And in line 2 of the fourth stanza, and pause over land and ocean without rest. Pause over and land ocean without rest, that is the extravagant statement as well. So that's why I say that this line is hyperbole. The next figurative language is metaphor. In line 1 of the fourth stanza, stanza. His state is kingly. Metaphor assert the identity without a connective such as like or a verb as appears. It means that his assert the identity without connective like or as or something. So his state is kingly means that it refers to the meaning that he is a king. So that's why the line itself is metaphor. The next figurative language is paradox. In line 1 of the first stanza, when I consider how my life is spent, and in line 3 of the first stanza as well, and that one talent which is dead to hide. Paradox, which is a term in rhetoric for a situation or statement that is or seems self-contradictory and even absurd. When I consider how my life is spent, the statement is self-contradicted to what he thought. And the next line is that one talent which is there to hide. He realized that it was his mistake to think that he could use what he had, his talent. It all may contain an insight into life as well. So the next figurative language is personification. In line 1 of the first stanza, that murmur soon replies, as if that murmur itself can reply like a human being. And in line 3 of the third stanza, bear his milk yoke. It refers to the human, and uh, it could be like a cow that have milk yolk on his body. So we're going to the last poems, that is on the same. These are some kind of figurative language expression I found in the poems. The first is alliterations. In line 4 of the first stanza, of owls and cuckoos, assess, a pass, and dogs. Assess, a pass. Assess and a pass is the first same consonant or sounds. And in line 4 of the third stanza, for all these waste of wealth and loss of blood. Waste and wealth is alliteration. And the next figurative language is in line 3 of the first stanza, that is hyperbole. When strike a barbarous noise environs me. Barbarous is the exaggeration word or extravagant statement. That is when strike a barbarous noise. So that's why that line is hyperbole. The next figurative language is litotes. In line 2 of the second stanza, that bow for freedom in their senseless mood. In line 3 of the second stanza, and still revolt when truth would set them free. The two examples of the poems, the lines itself, which are emphasizing the magnitude of the statement by denying its opposed side. The brawl for freedom in their senseless mood, he denies that what they think is wrong and not as real or as real, and still revolt when truth would set them free. He denied their opinion on a matter. The two examples above are understatement. And the next figurative language is metonymy. In line 1 of the first stanza, listen, see, they mean when they cry liberty. The line above is the line itself is metonymy. Something is named that replaces something closely related to it. For example, the liberty. They refer to the history of the Liberty Statue, and listen, see, they refer to the something something related to it, like license refers to the freedom. And the next figurative language is paradox. In line 1 of the second stanza, but this is got by casting pearl to hawks. The lines above is paradox. It is a term in rhetoric for a situation or statement that is or self-contradictory and even absurd. Casting pearl to hawk, it refers to the vision of Bible. He denied something wrong about what people think by referring to what Bible says. The next figurative language is personification. In line 7 of the first stanza, which after held the sun and moon in fee, as if the human being can held the sun and also human being can held the moon in fee. And the last No, I mean the next figurative language is poem. In line 2 of the third stanza, for who love that must be wise and good. Wise and good is referred to to each other. The last figurative language is synecdoche. In line 1 of the first stanza, I did but from the age to quit their clocks. In line 2 of the first stanza, by the known rules of ancient liberty. In line 6 of the first stanza, Ray and Aglatona twins bore progeny. From the lines itself, because they replace the whole by the part, or the part by the whole, or because they use word among that been mentioned one part of a world of all part. Sometimes, for two things become so closely related that we use the name of one for the other. On the name of a part of something, it refers to the things that go wrong and hold them back. Like ancient liberty, for example, it refers to ancient liberty known rules, and also Latona's twin-born progeny. It refers to the sons of Latona itself. So we're going to the next point about the most figurative language is found in the poems. I already made the table, and after I made the table, I got a conclusion that the most figurative language in the poems is alliteration. There are 11 lines. So the next point is discussion. So from the discussion, from the analysis I got, I already found that in this 4 poems, there were 11 figurative language, or all figurative language found in the poems, like the alliteration, hyperbole, irony, litotes, metaphor, metonymy, paradox, personification, pun, simile, and also synecdoche. It is known from the table above that the most figurative language was alliteration. And also, why is it the most? One of the factor probably because John Milton is a man of letter in his time. I got this information from the biography and from the history by John Milton, and from the biography by some expert or the previous analysis or the previous research. So now we're going to the chapter 5, that is focusing on conclusion and suggestions. In the first point in my presentation in this chapter 5, that is conclusion. There are 3 points in this conclusion. Based on the finding and discussion, the researcher has found all the types of figurative language found in the sonnet type poems by John Milton. There are 11 types of figurative language based on the theory in my research. And the second point is the conclusion which can be taken from the data source is the most commonly figurative language used in the sonnet of John Milton is alliteration. And the third point is the factor of the most, or the one of the big factor, probably because of John Milton is man of letter in his time. What I already said to you, that from the biography, from the previous analysis, that John Milton is a man of letter in his time. So we're going to the suggestion. Based on the result of this research, I suggest the researchers suggest to the reader and other researchers. The suggestions are to know the kind of figurative language in a poem. The reader should learn and understand the first about the definition and kind of figurative language, in order to the reader can know and understand the kind of figurative language are used in every line of poems. The researcher also suggests to the reader to pay more attention to John Milton in another book, because he was an English poet and also man of letter in his time. He also was called the greatest English author by William Hayles, 1796 biography. And the last suggestion is the reader and other researchers who want to improve their knowledge in knowing figurative language expression in the poem, especially in collection of John Milton poems. So they are suggest to understand the meaning of the kind of figurative language expression. So I think that's all for my presentation, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. I'm sorry if I have some wrong or mistakes. Thank you again for everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.